Welcome everybody to the next episode of our Secrets to Trading. We have Austin Rutherford here today with us. He is a crypto investor, real estate investor as well. He also has his book, which is a blueprint to real estate. It's called From Valet to Millionaire. Highly recommend reading that book. So welcome, Austin.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Austin, we're going to start off with the most basic question. So who is Austin Rutherford?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've been in real estate like 8 years now. Born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. Now live in Florida. We got into the game of real estate, flipping houses, and then got into new construction, and then wholesaling houses, and then rental properties. Kind of all different aspects of real estate. And about a year ago, got into cryptocurrency. So love crypto. Learned as much as I can about it, and building the brand on social media as well, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I mean, I see three opportunities in today's world. One is real estate, two is eyeballs, which is the brand, and three is cryptocurrency. So that's where all my focus is right now.
That's awesome. So pretty diversified your entire portfolio when it comes to investments.
For sure, for sure.
What got you into crypto? Like what kind of grabbed your attention and focus? Like obviously when someone is in the entrepreneurship world, they have their main income, their main area that they focus on. But like what brought you away from that and was like, all right, I need to learn more about crypto. Obviously it's the hype that goes along with it. A lot of people get into it for that. But personally, what was it for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I shared an office back in Columbus, Ohio, with one of my best friends. We both had our own real estate companies, and he came into the office one day and he was like, "Yo, bro, like I got it." And I was like, "What's it?" He was like, "I'll let you know in a couple of days. Let me do more research." I was like, "All right." So he came in the next week. He was like, "It's Bitcoin," and I was like, "I mean, I've heard about it, but like I don't know anything about it." And he was just like so enthusiastic telling me about it. I went home that night and watched like 10 hours of YouTube videos. I was up till like 3, 4, 5 a.m. just watching videos. And it wasn't like crypto, it was Bitcoin at that time. For me, I was learning about Bitcoin at that time. And the more I got into it, the more it made sense. And the biggest thing that made two things that really made sense for me, they said that there's not enough Bitcoins in the world for every US millionaire to own one. And I was like, well, that's pretty scarce. And then number two, the comparison to gold. You know, gold has value, right? Everybody that knows that gold has value. Why does it have value? It's because it's scarce. The only assets that is more scarce than gold is Bitcoin. And I was like, this makes sense. So yeah, after that, I started putting money in, started making money, started putting more money in, making more money. And I spend hours every single day just kind of researching it and learn as much as I can about the space now.
Awesome.
So, what made you go from just learning about Bitcoin, of course, and then you probably learned about like a lot of other cryptocurrencies.
Mhm.
So, what made you kind of so? First of all, you also you don't just invest in Bitcoin; you invest in a lot of other cryptocurrencies as well. So, centralized, decentralized
Yep.
platforms. What made you kind of make that shift from like Bitcoin and then start learning about which coins to invest in, and then making that move from centralized to decentralized?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I've my entire life I've always been one of the people that says like learn from other people. You know what I mean? I spend over $100,000 a year on education, mentorship, masterminds, whatever you want to call it. So when I got into the space, my boy had a boy that was in crypto for years, and we just met up with him. We were on a group chat together. He was telling us what different coins we're doing. I started buying those coins. I mean, November of 2020, it was pretty hard to lose. Everything was still skyrocketing. So I was just making money across the board. And then I met another friend, his mentor in the crypto space, turned 15 grand into 500 million. And he showed me screenshots of it. And I was like, sign me up. Like, where do I send the money? And paid him for mentorship. And he's pointed me in a lot of great directions. So I mean, I'm learning now. Now I have like an understanding of it, but like back then, like I was just taking other people's advice.
Thank you for that because the main thing here is learning from other people. Obviously, you're going to follow someone's footsteps initially who's doing like, pretty well and that's the area that you want to get into. But then also making that shift from I'm just going to follow this person, whatever this person's doing because they're making a lot of money to let me actually educate myself about this so then I can make my own decisions as well. And
Yep.
so when you started seeing like that crypto investment that you're actually getting paid off and everything like that, so obviously throughout every single stage, every time we hit like a certain monetary goal, there's a shift, a mindset that happens.
for
right?
sure.
So what was that shift of mindset for you when it comes to crypto in general about investments or even money?
Yeah. So one of my mentors has always told me like, what got you to where you are isn't going to get you to where you want to go. So, I made okay money in real estate. It's not the money that I wanted to make.
Hmm.
But I mean, I was in the seven figures, every year for the last few years. So like, I had a good lifestyle, but that's not what I wanted. You know what I mean? And the thing with real estate, my number's 100 million. Real estate, it's very difficult to get to 100 million, right? Unless you get into large multifamily, take on massive amounts of debt, and then wait 10, 20 years to pay those things off, then you got 100 mil. But what's the quickest way to get to $100 million? Crypto. I've never, in real estate, we talk in terms of percentages, right? It's
Right.
5, 10, 20, 30% return is like off the charts. You can do that in crypto in 5 minutes.
Hmm.
That crypto talks in terms of multipliers, 5x, 10x, 100x, 1000x, 10,000x. And I've just never seen that anywhere else in the space. So I fell in love with that idea. I'm like, you make money a lot faster.
Yeah.
And then one of my other friends, he called me one day. He was like, "Yeah, bro, crypto cash flow," and I was like, I know about cash flow, like I own rental properties, right?"
Right.
He was like, "Nah, it's crypto cash flow." I was like, "All right, you got to explain." And
Yeah.
then he put me on like how you can earn interest from like staking and stuff like that
Hmm.
on your coins. So why do we buy rental? Rental properties is like wealth for everybody, right? That's most
Right.
people know. Why do we buy? Why do we do that? One, cash flow. Two, appreciation. Three, tax savings through depreciation. Those are the benefits. What are the benefits in crypto? One, appreciation. Two, cash flow. Three, you don't get the tax savings. I'm like, there's no vacancies, no repairs, no tenants, no eviction moratoriums, none of that stuff. And it's written in the code not get paid every 1, 5, 30, 365 days, whatever it is. I'm like, this makes sense. So I kind of, then fell in love with the crypto cash flow and two of those together. I was like, this is it.
All right. Awesome. That's
That's amazing.
amazing. Yeah, that's an amazing journey because not a lot of people experience that.
So,
It's
And
crazy
then
that we have those capabilities right now
yeah,
I mean,
to make a ridiculous return like that.
we're blessed to be living in this time. Like I
Oh
have
yeah.
two examples, right? Like Bitcoin is made of 100 million satoshis, right? We're still talking about owning a Bitcoin. Sooner or later, when Bitcoin's so expensive, we're going to be like, yo, I got 100,000 satoshis.
yeah,
Like we don't even know what those are right now. Like that's how early to this space that I think we are. Even Bitcoin, the largest asset in crypto,
Hmm.
I started buying it, it was 3 grand. This is 66 now. That's a 33x. No, 22x. Sorry.
It's
Like
insane.
what? And that's the largest market cap. So other coins have gone well beyond that. Like I've been a part of 70, 80 X's in 6 months. I've never seen my money multiply that fast.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's an opportunity of a lifetime, and people are going to look back and regret all the decisions that they made and not getting into crypto.
yeah. And this is just the initial stages. So of course there are always going to be new coins that are coming in, but
For sure.
being able to identify those opportunities and actually having the mindset to be part of these opportunities. So many people, they get scared, but then they start jumping in when it's like way overhyped, right? And then you start kicking yourself like, man, I wish I got in when like Bitcoin was 7,000, or I wish like I got into Ethereum when it was like, 1,500, something like that.
Yep.
So being able to identify these opportunities early on and being a part of it too.
I mean, it's emotional, right? I lost a couple $1 million in like 2 days in crypto. Like that's very emotional, right? But you got to understand it's a short term loss and it's going to come back. So it's not a loss unless you sell. So you got to detach emotionally from the space because it is extremely volatile and you'll drive yourself crazy sitting there refreshing an app. I've been there before. I've done that.
Yeah.
You have to detach and make decisions based on that. And the other thing is like everyone always says buy the dip, right? Like that's when people get rich. Like when you buy the bottom and you just wait for it to go up, like that's how wealth is created. It's a very scary thing to buy the dip. Like
Yeah.
it's just going down and down and down and down and down, and you're like, all right, like here's another 100K. Like it can keep going down, but it takes like confidence, strength, and gut feeling to like want to win and not
Yeah.
play safe to buy the dip because it's a scary thing to do and you can easily lose your money. So um, I, I say it like this: like I would rather lose my money than wake up in 5 years and say I could have had $100 million. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather lose the money. Like I know how to make money. I've done it before. Like I can do it again.
Yeah.
So I'm swinging. Like I don't want to strike out on the plate and never take a swing. I'm swinging at everyone, not
Yeah.
everyone, but a lot of them that come my way.
So say like obviously the reason we're doing this podcast is to help people that are trying to figure out what they want to do. Maybe they they want to learn what we made as mistakes.
Mhm,
As far as you, like, let's say someone's watching this that's not really into crypto, maybe they're trading forex like most of our audience is.
mhm.
Where do they start? What are some good news sources, fundamental resources that they could find, different things that they could do to get better people to look at? Where would you steer them into that direction?
Absolutely. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of BS on
You
YouTube.
mentioned that 10 hours.
Yeah. And like even today, like I watch 1 to 3 hours a day on YouTube videos. And it's not for like video games. It's
Yeah,
for educational content
yeah.
that I can make money on. So there's a lot of BS out there. So you got to be careful with it. But like find people that actually know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
And they've proven it through the videos. And just follow those people. Listen to those people. Usually those people offer mentorships. I have like 3 mentors in the crypto space right now that I'm paying for all of them. But like it's made me a lot of money
Yeah.
compared to the investment. So I mean, you can join groups for like I don't know 20, 50, $100 a month or something like that. And if you don't have $20 a month, like you're not doing something right.
Yeah.
Like, you can go pick up a job and work 2 hours and make that.
Yeah.
So yeah, YouTube, and then hire somebody in the space that's doing what you want to do already.
Cool. I
That's
like it.
awesome. Yeah. And then a big part of this must have also been your network. So you talk about that as well, that the mindset and then also being part of a good network. And so how big of a role did your network play into your success right now?
Oh, it's massive. It's everything. I mean, I'll give you a couple examples. Like in the crypto space, I'm in a mastermind. I pay 35 grand a year to be in it every single year. And I spend tens of thousands of dollars on top of that just to go to the events that they host. So a lot of money invested. Some people say I'm delusional. One guy in that group had a guy that knew cryptos, the guy with $500 million. He introduced that guy to the group. One call, I made multi 7 figures net off of one call. Like I don't know what else proves the value of being in, having the right people around you. That besides that, you know what I mean? Real estate. I'm underwriting a 120 unit package right now. Multiple millions of dollars in equity that we would get for buying this deal, and it's from a joint venture partner that I met through social media. I
Mhm.
mean, I can give you example after example. Like this is something really powerful, right? Everyone says it's like not. What's the saying? It's not a. It's all about who you know, right?
Yeah.
Everyone always says that. It's like all
Not
about
about what you know, but who you know.
yeah, but that's wrong. Grant Cardone said this, and it blew my mind. He said,
Who
it's
knows
not
you?
about boom. It's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. I was like,
Right.
that was fire.
Yeah.
So like that's why I go back to building the brand, right? Like you get in front of enough people, your name circles around enough times, like people start knowing who you are, and you're able to get into the right rooms.
Mhm. And
That's
how
cool.
early on did you realize that you should probably start networking because you got into real estate at a very young age?
Yeah. So I bought my first house when I was 20, flipped my first house when I was 22. In
It's awesome.
2024, I think, I had a title company that I was closing deals through. They were working with another investor that was crushing it. And they told me, they're like, hey, like this other investors, having a free meetup tonight. You want to come? I was like, yeah, for sure. Went there, met the guy. He knew what he was talking about. He was like, "Yo, it's 5K for a 2 day weekend with me with a couple other people." I was like, "Sign me up, I'm in." After that, he was like, "Yo, it's 35K a year." I was like, "Sign me up, I'm in." So it's I don't know. I think I've been blessed to meet certain couple people in my life,
Mhm.
but it's again having the wherewithal and the confidence to spend that money and invest in yourself. Like at the time when I spent 35 grand for a yearly mentorship, like I was probably only making like 100 or 200 grand a year. Like I
Mhm.
didn't have that type of money just sitting around. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I even
How
came
much
home
did you pay for it? I'm sorry.
35,000.
Okay, okay.
And I came home. I was still living with my parents at the time, and I told them I was doing this. They're like, why would you spend that money on a mastermind? Like, what is that? Like, people just don't understand the power of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I mean, you got to have confidence.
Yeah,
And how do
100%.
you get over that? Because a lot of people, even now that when we talk to a lot of people, they're like, I'm talking to, my spouse or my friends or my family, whether it's like investing in, Forex or whether it's like real estate or even a new business idea. We get that so much in entrepreneurship where you discuss your idea with somebody who's close to you and they're just like, it's not going to work. Like, go get a job. Right. So, like, when you discussed your mastermind and paying 35K, like, how did you kind of just and it was your parents who were telling you like, why would you do this, right? So how did you kind of overcome that?
Yeah, so it's a big thing. Like I'm a believer that the people in your life, your friends, your parents, your cousins, your aunts, your what all those people that are telling you like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. Probably not a good investment. Like I genuinely believe that mass majority of those people are telling you that because they think it's the right thing.
Hmm.
They were taught just like
Mhm.
we were taught: go to college, get a degree, go to corporate, work your way up the ladder. Like that's what the world thinks is the right way of doing things. It's not. So when they tell you to go do that, they're not telling you to do that because they want you to fail. They're telling
Right.
you to do that because they genuinely believe that's the best thing for you.
Yeah.
So like I don't want people to get it twisted and like hate their parents because they said that. Like my parents were extremely supportive of me. They just didn't know any better. You know what I mean? I started making money. They're like, all right, this works. But like at the end of the day, it's nobody else is paying you bills. Like nobody's paying you bills. Nobody's living your life how you want to live it. So like do what you got to do at the end of the day.
Hmm.
It goes back to confidence. So like for me, reading, journaling, manifesting, affirmations, sitting on my patio overlooking this balcony, looking at the house down there that I already know I want to buy, like doing all those things to believe in yourself and have confidence in yourself. That's like people people's opinions don't affect me anymore. But when I started, they definitely did. But it's because I didn't believe in myself the way I do now. So I think confidence can go a really, really long way for people.
Oh yeah, hundred
That's
percent.
powerful, yeah. Like having confidence in yourself. And again, exactly what you said. These people around you, they're trying to tell you something because they think it's the best for you,
For
right?
sure.
They're not trying to bring you down or anything like that. But it's also being confident in yourself because no one else is going to come around and say, like, hey, start this business because I know you can do it, right? You know what you can do. And at the end of the day, like when it's a rainy day, whatever it is, you got to be confident in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. Like, hey, I can do this. I can push through this. Maybe, for example, I'm just going to use like a real estate example since, we're in that. But one day you don't get a deal, or like, a week you don't get a deal, but then also, and you're in early stages. But instead of saying, like, yo, I just quit because this is never going to work for me, you keep pushing,
Yeah.
right? Because eventually, once you get your deal, first deal after that, it kind of just rolls in.
100%, 100%. I got a message from somebody yesterday. I wanted to read it. It said, can you talk about how you were able to move way faster than other people in the industry? I know part of that was not using your own money, but how do you put yourself in a position to find deals slash people and include yourself, or is it more family and friends starting off? Like people see like the success and they're like, oh yeah, like how'd you just got given it to you? Like
Yeah.
I was flat broke for 16 months. I was working 50 to 60 hours on valeting cars. I was going to college, taking 15 credit hours. I was a licensed realtor, and I was trying to start my real estate business for 16 months straight and almost $500,000 in debt. Like people don't see that part. Like it wasn't just easy. I wasn't just given all this money. I forced myself into rooms, right? So like I get it. You're not comfortable. You might not have everything handed to you on a silver plate. Like I've been there before. But the only way to get by that excuse me, is to
Yeah.
do the work. Like
Right.
you have to put yourself in those positions. Like I walked into rooms where I started sweating because I felt so uncomfortable and I wanted to turn around and I was like, nope, like I gotta stay here. Like it's the only option. I've gone to bars, restaurants, high-end steakhouses, sat at the bar knowing I didn't belong in that seat, but I forced myself to stay there, sweating red because I was very nervous, very uncomfortable. But like you have to put yourself in those positions if you ever want to grow.
Right.
If you're comfortable, you will never have any growth.
Yeah.
Most people are uncomfortable doing that,
Agreed.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And well, I guess it comes down to certain backgrounds too, right? When you come
Mhm.
from, if your parent, like for example, my parents came from India, right? My entire family came from India. I was born here, but like it's the same exact mindset for them because no one in my family has ever done what I do, right? But that doesn't mean like they're never supportive. It's the same thing. They're
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
supportive. My brother's the one who kind of inspired me to be an entrepreneur from a very young age. He told me in high school, he was like, you got to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to work at a job or do you want to make jobs, right?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about it throughout college, like just taking classes and everything. And then like he would drop me off at college. I used to come home for weekends and we would have a conversation in the car. He's like, so what do you want to do? And then, he's like 8 years older than me. So he's like, I wish I had started a business when I graduated from college or before I graduated from college. So there
Yep.
are a lot of things that I did while in college that a lot of people didn't know about, like just started side hustles, failed a lot. But there were things that you learn throughout the process. I
For
was
sure.
really into law. I wanted to go to law school and everything. So he was like, why don't you start like, and I used to work at a courthouse as an intern. So he's like, why don't you start like this side hustle where there's a lot of people who don't know how to fill out paperwork correctly. So I actually started doing that. Like I had flyers up by campus on poles and stuff. Didn't put
So
my name or number or anything on it, but that's what I used to do.
love
Obviously
it.
failed because you don't have a lot of people who just call you up, right? Uh, but yeah, being uncomfortable, and that kind of like transitions into one of the chapters that you have in your book, From Valet to Millionaire. You know, you gotta get uncomfortable, right? But there's also another chapter where you talk about staying in your lane. So I want to talk about like how do you be comfortable getting uncomfortable while staying in your lane?
Man, you got the whole book. I like it.
Yeah,
So how do you get uncomfortable?
Mushing over
yeah,
How do you get uncomfortable staying in your lane, right? It's you want to get into real estate, right? You can stay in your lane and learn a lot in real estate. Going flipping one house, doing that, and then going and evaluating an apartment building. That's very uncomfortable. It's still real estate. It's still your lane, but it's still very uncomfortable. Or partnering with somebody, or instead of doing $100,000 flip, doing an $800,000 flip. So you can still force yourself into uncomfortability in your lane, quote unquote, in your niche, and then become great at that niche, put systems and processes and people in place, and then go get uncomfortable somewhere else.
right.
But you definitely have to stay focused for a certain period of time because that's how you can actually grow.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's one thing that I
there.
personally also struggled with, right? And I'm pretty sure Stephanos, at some point you've gone through that as well, like starting your own business where there's certain
Oh
things
yeah.
like very uncomfortable, and then you just got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. The
You
Cancun trip was my very first like huge real estate event like that, where like I had traveled out of the United States. And I had completely winged it. My mom just came along. She was like, "Yeah, you're not going to Mexico alone, right?" And so, but she learned a lot more than I did. But that was me being uncomfortable being around, certain group of people in a completely different, country.
Love it. I love it.
did she just come along like for the trip, or did she actually go to the conferences and
She
stuff?
went to the conference. She
Oh,
met
that's awesome.
everybody there.
That's probably huge for her too.
Yeah,
Kind of understanding where you're coming from, understanding what you're going through and stuff like that. But back to your point, when it comes to like just being uncomfortable, you have to put yourself in those situations, and like you feel it all the time. Every time you push to a different level, that's why I never understand people staying complacent and people staying at one level. Like I want to constantly be leveling up. It's like being in a video game and knowing that like you got to keep getting better, and the next level is harder, and then you got to beat the boss, right? And then you got to go to another level. Like I don't want those levels to run out, because then what's the point of living? Because like that's where happiness comes from. It's constantly pursuing something, constantly getting better at something, constantly like working towards it. And those levels, it just gets more and more intriguing, gets uncomfortable, but you got to deal with it and move on, grow up. And that's how you got to look at
Agreed, 100%. Like people always say they're just coasting, like you said. You cannot coast on a flat surface. If you
it.
coast on a flat surface, you will stop. The only way
Yep.
to coast is downhill. So if you're coasting, you're getting worse. So
Yep.
it's either you get worse or you get better. Those are the only
Exactly.
options. So I
There's
hate
no
when
stagnant.
no, like I'm coasting. Like nah, little do you know, you
Yeah.
falling behind.
100%. 100%.
so you talk about also in the book, you're talking about comparison, like what you would have done differently, and so it's comparing and then also aiming high. And that's
Yeah.
another thing that we see in a lot of traders, in a lot of entrepreneurs as well, where the initial stages, they are always comparing with other people. They're
Mhm.
seeing, certain results on Instagram, they're seeing people posting certain things, and you're always constantly comparing yourself. Oh, they got a trade, I didn't get a trade. Oh, he got a house under contract, I didn't get a house. He started a business, I couldn't start a business. But then they also fail to aim high, right? So how do you kind of get out of that entire process?
Focus on you. Social media, I think, is one of the biggest leaders of this the delusionality. I don't know if that's a
Mm.
word, but of people being delusional is because they see something they think they like on social media, and then they go after that. You got to understand, social media, you see the best 1% of people. Sometimes people show you some failures. Sometimes. The other times you're seeing it, they're literally the best of their best of their best of their best. So they closed 8 deals today. Okay, they haven't closed any deals for the last 6 months, and then you think it's 8 deals every day. Like that's just not what it is. So I think one of the biggest things people can do is unfollow a lot of people on social media. The fakes, the phonies, the distractions, the negative naysayers. Like, get rid of all of them. Like, they're not doing anything for your life, anyways. And follow like real people. You know what I mean? People that share the ups and the downs,
Mhm.
because like that's how people actually learn. So I think that is a big way of how people have like comparison syndrome.
Mhm.
And then besides that, like you just got to focus on you. Like your numbers are your numbers. Like if I tell you like I close 1 out of 10 deals, and you're like, "Well, I only close 1 out of 50 deals." Okay, well, what do you count as a lead? Well, I count anybody I talk to as a lead. Okay, well, I count people that are motivated as a lead. Like, duh, the numbers are going to be
Mhm.
misconstrued. Like, we're not even
Right.
counting the same numbers. And then you get in the comparison, and you're like, I'm gonna close 1 out of 50. They're 1 out of 10. Like, I'm a failure. Like, no, they are 1 out of 50. They're 1 out of 100. They just count the leads differently.
Mhm.
So like you got to focus on your numbers. The numbers that you see from everybody, I can promise you this: the numbers that you see are not the real numbers. Like I've seen behind the scenes on a lot of people's stuff. It's not. I'm just gonna call it real with you. But when people see that, they think it's normal and every day. It's not even the day that they post it. The numbers that they post aren't even real, let alone those being real every single day. So just don't get caught up, chasing something you think is fake, and just focus on you and your numbers at the end of the day.
So I think social media it has done so much good for our community and for the world. Like we can connect on here, right?
Yeah.
But like it's done so much bad. Like when it comes to polarizing views, just people in different spot, people faking who they actually are, stuff like that. It's just
Mhm.
there's a lot of negative there too, and it's people get addicted to it as well. So you got to
100%.
give and take. It's kind of all over the place with that, but I try to look at the optimism in it, and it's great that we can connect because of it. But one thing I wanted to point out that I appreciate about you is the fact that you started out in valeting, and that Valet the Millionaire. That's what the book is, and I can't wait
Yeah.
to read it either.
For sure.
I just get a lot from that because I started out Ubering, right? And like I could see myself having a book very similar Uber to whatever.
I love it.
And then also your parents too. Like my parents, and I'm sure Sharma's parents are the same way. Like they support, but they don't understand.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us can relate to that, and thank God that we can, instead
Mhm.
of the fact where it's like they don't support, right? And I'm sure there's plenty of parents out there. Any of you guys watching, you guys have parents like that. Take it as you can. They only want the best for you. That's what they think is the best for you. But at the same time, you know what's best because you're listening to people that they're where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
Austin's where you want to be in real estate. Sharma's where you want to be in trading or anything else in entrepreneurship. So pay attention to them. Whenever your parents say something, okay, got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Move on, get your work in, and prove to them. Let that be a driving force for you.
Honestly, I think the best thing would be also introducing your parents to what you do, or
Yeah,
like, or even bringing them into events like the Tab Retreat, for example. My mom has no idea. My mom,
that's a great
she
move.
still asks me. She's like, or she used to before the event. She's like, "Is what you're doing even legal? Is forex even legal?" Right? I used to tell her like all the time, "Yeah, like it's legal and everything, right?" And so this one time, what she did was, and a lot of people know this story, but I'll go ahead and say it again. I came home and I finally told her, I'm like, I trade this and that, right? And then my mom, she was like, "Yeah, I don't believe that you make that much money." So she's like, "Here's $100. Go flip this for me." I come back and I gave her $400, right? That's what she made off that money in a week. And she's like, "Okay, go do this again." And I was like, "No, this is a one time thing," right? And so, and then after that, she kind of got the gist of like, okay, like she's doing whatever she wants to do. So they like, never told me go get a job now that you graduated or whatever. They're like, all right, she's doing whatever she's doing. But the best thing was bringing her to the Tab Retreat because
Yeah.
she got to see people that I'm trying to be like a part of that group. I'm trying to connect with, people that I look up to. Terry, Ryan, Austin, all these people who are there. And she also got to witness pretty much what my mindset is like. She felt the shift that one week that we were there. She felt the shift mentally as well. She doesn't speak very good English. She doesn't understand 100%. She understands like, a majority of it, 90%, 95%, but she doesn't understand certain things. But she, being in that environment, you understand like what's going on. So if your parents are like that, where they're supportive but they don't get what you're doing, where they're like telling you like, maybe you shouldn't do that. Take them to these events, introduce them to these people, so then they get to see it themselves too.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
No,
100%. I think that was a great move. It's funny, I've done the same thing with my dad and my sister. My dad and my sister are now trading stocks, which is
Yeah,
pretty cool. That's where I started. And now they're like really getting into it. My dad's part of a couple different mentorships, stuff like that. Not mentorships, but like people that you pay for their service and you learn about stocks, stuff like that. So I'm glad to see them getting into it. But when I first started getting into trading and everything, my dad didn't really understand. He's an
yeah,
immigrant himself from Cyprus, so
yeah,
he's just trying to find his way as well.
I
yeah.
love it. I mean, the fastest way to prove the naysayers is to show up with a check. Like
Yeah.
my mom,
You
like
gotta see it.
made me swear up and down that I was going to graduate college. Like I had to get my degree, so I started going to college, and I was trying to do real estate at the same time. And then I showed up and I was like, "Mom, I made 150 grand in 90 days." She was like, "Well, guess you don't got to go to college no more." So like that proof of concept is the best way to do it. So like it's cool. Like if they don't support you, quote unquote, remember it's not. I don't think it's coming from a negative aspect. I think it's coming from a positive aspect. But if they
Mhm.
don't support you, like go out there and win, and then show them the wins. Like it's hard to deny real numbers
Absolutely. And that's true of like majority of the people, like parents, friends, family, whoever it is, because everybody they've never seen it happen before. They've never done it before, right? Making 150 grand in 90 days. A lot of people haven't done that. So
for
once you
sure.
show them like, here's a real check, like I'm gonna go deposit this in my real account, right? And that's what makes it real for them.
For sure, 100%.
100%.
And then one of the last questions, and then we're gonna end off with like, what's like one thing that one advice that you would give to people. But that mindset shift that we talked about, right? That's the biggest thing when you come down to investments, starting a business, whatever your mindset is. So what was that mindset shift from like, young Austin, very first time getting into real estate to now being into like all these different types of investments, going to masterminds, being a different or being part of different groups.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is confidence. 2.5 years ago is really when I really came into believing in myself. And businesses and numbers and relationships and everything show that. And part of confidence is like thinking that you can actually do it, right? Like I don't, y'all can't see the whole check, but the check behind me. One of my mentors sent that to me. He said, "Write your number on it." And I was like, I've never thought about a number. So then I started thinking about a number, and the number that came to my head was like a number that I've hit now, and this was like 3 months ago, and like I'm already there. So I wrote a number on there that scares me, and I didn't write the number on there for like 6 months because like I was scared to write the number down. I was like, "Ooh, if I write this number down, like it's a real thing. Like I actually got to do it. But just believing in yourself, having the confidence that you can hit something. And the people that are like that win are the craziest. They're the most delusional. Like why does somebody think like they can go out there and make 100 grand or a million or 100 million or $1 billion? Like that's the 1% of the 1%. Like why you? You got to be crazy to think like that. So
Mhm.
it's okay to be different. It's okay to think crazy. It's okay to stand out from the crowd. Those are the people that actually end up doing crazy things.
That crazy label is almost a compliment to a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Call me
It's
crazy. All right.
crazy to see the shift. I mean, if you're younger and someone calls you crazy, then you're just like, damn, this person just insulted me. But now if like someone comes up to you and they're like, you're crazy, I'm like, yeah, I am because I'm gonna
Right,
make it work.
Yeah, you're fucking
right.
crazy.
Yeah. Because you figure out a way to make it work no matter
Yeah.
what happens,
Yeah.
right? You're always gonna come across obstacles, but you're always gonna have to work around it, no matter what it is. So thank you so much for answering that because I think that is definitely very very powerful. You have to be crazy no matter what you do. So the question that we're gonna end off with: what's like one advice, besides confidence and that shift that you talked about? What's one advice that you would give to somebody who's probably struggling or they're on the brink of just like quitting whatever they're doing because they're not seeing the results just yet, or someone even just starting off.
Sure. This is something that was told to me when I was like, I don't know, 14 years old. And this was related to basketball. My dream was to go to the NBA, and I skipped the workout and I showed up the next day. And he was like, just remember, somebody's out there working to take your spot. So that doesn't mean that you need to work 24/7, 365. That just means that you have to be very conscious of the time that you're given in a day. Because all three of us, and Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk, and everybody have the same 24 hours in a day. Some are
Mhm.
just way more productive than others. So being conscious of the time that you have, because it's limited, it's very scarce. It's more
Oh, yeah.
scarce than Bitcoin. and spend it with the right people. Spend doing it the right things. I do a lot. I've done a lot of tasks that I can pay somebody $4 an hour to do.
Mhm.
That's not the best use of my time. So just be very conscious of it because it is the most valuable thing in the world.
Amen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Austin. Thank you for hopping on today and talking to us. I really appreciate it. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things that people could get from this. I mean, I personally wrote down a bunch while talking to you guys. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, awesome.
Uh,
It's been a pleasure as well. So love that we met, and good luck moving forward. Want to stay in contact? I'm gonna pick up your book, and I can't wait to read it.
Appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to jump on and everything. If anybody wants to connect on Instagram, Austin Rutherford official is the best place. I respond to all my DMs. And if you want, some free giveaways, learn a little bit more about me, you can go to theaustinrutherford.com as well.
And
Perfect.
he also has a YouTube channel, guys. If you want to go check that out, there's a ton of information. Real estate, there was a video that I was watching that you posted when you went to Dallas, and so you did
Yep.
like a day in life kind of a thing, and you like breaking down like you got a Mustang there, you're like $75 to rent, so like breaking down the entire thing. But thank you so much for the value that you provide, Austin. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.